If you have a comment, question related to our previous guest, feel free to share that. We'll just open the phones up to any topic we've been on this morning, and I've got a few other things I can mention as well before we wrap up the show today. 9:34. Bill Colley with you on Top Story. Temperature 66. This is News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Do want to remind people we've been telling you for the last several months about the folks at Tint Lady of Idaho. And what they do is they can actually help preserve your carpet, your furniture, your drapes, maybe even the seating in your automobile. They do tinning, which also cuts down on the heat that's coming through the windows. They do it for home business and also your car, your truck. And it does help out with the bleaching effect that will sometimes take place with the sunshine. And they'll do this by coming out, doing an estimate for you, and that's free. You can also find them at 1887 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls. They're open Monday through Friday. The hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday by appointment only, closed on Sunday. Give them a call at 736-8469. That's 736-8469. Or you can go to the website tintlady@idaho.com. And, of course, they're located at 1887. Did I mention that already? Well, I might mention it again, right? In case you didn't remember it the first time. 1887 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls. We'd recommend you give them a visit. We had a caller on the air a couple of weeks ago who commented that he had done business with them and said these are fine people, and the tints, they do everything they're promised to do. 9:35 now, and our telephone number, if you'd like to reach our program, is 93. All right. I'm looking at another phone number again still. 736-0300. You know what? These senior moments, when you have them happen, you really start to worry about how long it's going to be before you're in the Alzheimer's ward. And I've been having these, more frequently, obviously, as time goes on. Most people do. It's that moment when you walk to the refrigerator, you knew there was a reason you got there, you open the door, and then you wonder, what am I doing? What am I looking for? And you don't recall. That's a little bit like giving out the telephone number sometimes. 736-0300 if you'd like to reach our show. Talking about illegal immigration, there is a fellow by the name of Ian De Silva writing at the Washington Times. And the title is The Consequences of Uncontrolled Immigration. And he's writing about the immigration law that went into effect 50 years ago. This was the one written by Ted Kennedy, where they started excluding people from Europe and opening the doors to people from all over the world. He says, simply put, it was a product of the 1960s civil rights movement. Though immigration was not the focus of that movement, many American liberals used the momentum of the civil rights laws to transform immigration as well, forcing the country to abandon a proven policy and adopt one whose consequences nobody could anticipate. Until 1965, he writes, America had a sensible policy. In the decade of the 1960s, with immigration occurring mostly under the previous system, 1.1 million European immigrants were admitted. I had a friend, her father came over from Ireland in 1965. He was among the last, really, who could come over freely from that part of the world and settle here, along with 1.6 million from Mexico, the Caribbean, South and Central America, Asia, and Africa. In the next decade, the 1970s, when the new law was in full effect, those latter groups doubled to 3.2 million, while European immigration was suppressed to 826,000. Now, I'm a big reader of Pat Buchanan. I own several of his books, and I think that he has been spot on some of these issues over the years. Of course, liberal media jumps up and down and says, you can't say that. That's not nice. That's mean-spirited. You'll hurt somebody's feelings. But he has always pointed out this whole notion of the melting pot never really actually existed. People came here and they simply learned to speak English and they simply adopted our customs, our ways. That doesn't happen anymore with all of these new patterns of immigration. Why was it different in the old days? Well, someone coming here from Poland or Ireland or Italy or Bavaria or Alsace-Lorraine, any of those places, pretty much shared a common culture with the United States, mainly Christian, Judeo-Christian, coming from that part of the world. So they celebrate all of the same holidays, have the same beliefs in higher powers and the like. Now what we've done is we've mixed it all up with so many, and we keep being told, yes, but our diversity makes us stronger. That's what the liberals like to tell you. Our diversity is what makes us special. except nobody ever provides any evidence about that. Buchanan had a great line one time. He said, you hear it, it's a nice saying, but no one ever says, and here are the facts and figures to back up what I'm talking about. There are certain cultures that are not going to be compatible with ours. Let's be honest about that. That was the message last week when Pastor Sharam Hadian was here in town. And he was telling us there is one very specific culture that will never blend with ours, which is essentially what our previous guest was talking about too as well. Do we know who that culture is? I'll give you 3 guesses. The first 2 don't count. And as he said, our previous guest, confront them. Keep confronting them. Sooner or later, you're going to have to, and we'll start digging into this and we'll find out where the money trail goes. And I'll tell you what, people need to know these things. Some folks out there are making a profit off of this. As I said earlier in the show, they don't give a darn. Why? Because these people aren't going to live in their neighborhoods. They always tell you how good it is for you, but they won't be living in their neighborhoods. They're going to be living behind the walls. The rest of us will have to deal with all of the fallout. 20 minutes away from 10 o'clock. 66. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 and newsradio1310.com. That's News Radio 1310 KLIX. Did I get the KLIX in there? They'll slap me if I didn't. I better be careful about that. Oh, yes, an appropriate theme when we talk about the Obama White House. Although we got to be careful about that. After one of our callers yesterday upbraided me for some of my opinions on a poll done with black teenagers, because you know Darth Vader, he was he was a warrior of color, at least in uniform. So I better be careful about that because they'll scream racism again. 9. Well, you know the stormtroopers all wore white. Well, they were the cops, weren't they? Oh, I can kind of see where the left is coming from on this one. 9:44, Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. 67. So the president yesterday had some remarks about his new best friend, Iran, and he's trying to sell the Iranian, they're not even calling it a treaty now. So I don't know. Well, you bypass the Senate, right, if you don't call it a treaty. I think legally, though, they still have to go through the process on Capitol Hill. And he's getting very upset because apparently a lot of his fellow travelers may not go along with him. So yesterday he said the deal we made with Iran was the only deal that was available.
So this deal is not just the best choice among alternatives. This is the strongest non-proliferation agreement ever negotiated.
Take my word for it. We had agreements with the Soviet Union when I was a kid back in the 70s. I don't know about you, but when he says that, it seems to me that he might be engaging in a little bit of what is called hyperbole. Not that he's ever done that before. He also went on to say that, you know what? I've looked those Iranian mullahs in the eyes. Well, he hasn't yet, but he says that they're good guys and we can trust them.
I've had to make a lot of tough calls as president. But whether or not this deal is good for American security is not one of those calls.
Now, the toughest call would be a telephone call to Kate Steinle's parents, but that's not going to happen, is it? Nope. We don't want to get involved in that because it might shed light on another one of our failed policies as far as that goes. The one thing that I think about Barack Obama that is probably the most dangerous thing, there's a word the Greeks use called hubris, an overweening of pride. And that is, he looks in the mirror every day and says, "Hey, handsome, how you doing? Smartest guy in the world." He says his genius has again saved the planet.
Winning this global buy-in was not easy. I know. I was there. In some cases, our partners lost billions of dollars in trade because of their decision to cooperate.
Cooperate now.
But we were able to convince them that absent a diplomatic resolution, the result could be war.
Diplomatic resolution. You know, John Kennedy used to engage in a lot of those, usually with Marilyn Monroe. But that's a story for another day. There are some people in Washington who are going to object and are still trying to object, and maybe they will not get steamrolled by Obama's minions and media. One of those is Senator Richard Shelby from the state of Alabama.
It remains a constant threat to the survival of Israel. And despite these grave concerns, it will remain a country with the capability to enrich uranium.
Enriching uranium again, are you? Well, they probably already have made a decision that they can take all that money that we're going to return to them and go buy the weapons on the open market. You know, the North Koreans need, obviously, the money so they can buy bushels of wheat to feed their starving populace, and they've got all of these nukes around, so I could see a deal. 947, Bill Colley with you on Top Story 67, and you're on the air on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com.
Well, every time the president opens his mouth, he spouts out another lie. I got an email here, it's been a while back. I already had 900 and some lies and twisting the facts, but, he's done everything he can to destroy our security with the immigration program, the refugee program that his State Department is behind. And our energy, of course, is going up because of, again, the global warming hoax is being fomented on us and pushed down our throats. And the EPA has even admitted, after all the draconian rules and regulations on our energy supply, it's not going to have any influence on the temperature. So he would make Pinocchio, the bird nest and how long that nose would be unbelievable.
This is a bit like with the climate deal. It's a bit like saying, we need to save some money around the house this winter, so we're going to drop the thermostat from 75 down to 74.5.
Yeah, right. There you go. Yeah, the guy, he's a pathological liar. That's really what it amounts to. Bill Clinton's, he makes Bill Clinton look like, he's a pathological liar too. And I had a U.S. senator tell me that. And, and so, folks, we got to stand up against this kind of stuff. And we need to ask our congressmen, our local people here to stand against this, and the governor. The governor could stop this refugee program if he would. So we need to really camp on Governor Otter and get him in the loop as well.
I thank you for the call. Again, and as I was saying this earlier this week, the first person in politics who comes forward in this state, and somebody with some real, I'll use the Bill Buckley word, gravitas, some importance in this state, whether it be a state legislator, a member of the House or Senate, or governor, and says, this is wrong, this has got to stop, and I have heard the will of the people. I have heard their voices. That individual will guarantee themselves lifetime office. So who's going to be the courageous one that comes forward and says, you know what? I'll take the plunge. Yeah, they know that too. And why haven't they done it? Somebody has them by the short hairs. The Gallagher report or update brought to you exclusively by the financial advisors at Waddell & Reed in Twin Falls, 736-6563. And 6 minutes away from 10 o'clock, we are in that portion of the program where we wrap up the day. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX, as well online. And I haven't mentioned that, but you can listen live online anywhere all over the world. NewsRadio1310.com. Over there on the right-hand side, upper right-hand side, is an icon. It reads Listen Live. Just click on that and you're in business. 67, slow warm-up today, but I didn't mind. I was out walking around earlier when it was in the 50s. Outside our building today, and I'll tell you what, I thought it was very pleasant. I love that type of morning wake-up when you get up and in that, it's not a chill, but you get up and it's cool like that. It's great sleeping weather. Once more, we should point out, God willing, the creek don't rise. They'll allow me to do this all over again tomorrow morning. Now, we may have a special guest. In fact, Steve Millington may pop in tomorrow morning, and along with you, we'll do a breakdown, if you will, a post-mortem, on the debate tonight, or debates. Well, they're not technically debates. They're forums. There's two sets of them, and you've got the people who are behind in the polls in one, and then the people who are leading in the polls in another, all of that being televised on Fox a little bit later today on the Fox News Channel. Hey, we were talking about Harry Reid a little bit earlier in the program. Harry Reid is sounding off on a possible government shutdown because of Planned Parenthood. Remember, Harry Reid supports Planned Parenthood and infanticide, although he does claim to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Take a listen to him.
Well, Republicans again use shutdown extortion to try to repeal Obamacare, or attack immigrants, or cut Social Security, or privatize Medicare.
I've always thought it was odd when it was said when I was a kid that Irene Ryan had died, and then all of a sudden Harry Reid emerged on the political scene. And I always wondered, did somebody just decide they wanted a career change and had to disappear? Not only is there a resemblance, but take a listen.
Howdy, Beverly. This here's Granny. I I'm a widow myself. And I was just saying to Jed, it's nice when the young'uns stay home to help you. So many times they leave just when you need 'em most.
Can we hear that again?
Will Republicans again use shutdown extortion to try to repeal Obamacare, or attack immigrants, or cut Social Security, or privatize Medicare?
Howdy, Beverly, this here's Granny. I'm a widow myself. And I was just saying to Jed, it's nice when the young'uns stay home to help you. So many times they leave just when you need 'em most.
Yeah, not only is there an uncanny physical resemblance, but it seems to me that they sound exactly alike. So now we know what happened to Irene Ryan. 9:57, Bill Colley with you this morning saying a goodbye, and I hope you have a great day. Coming up following this program, Rush Limbaugh. Rush will be along following the news at 10 o'clock from Fox. And then after the 1 o'clock news, Sean Hannity, right here on the very same radio station, News Radio 1310 KLIX, as well as newsradio1310.com. Following the 4 o'clock news, Beck. Now, he was supposed to be back on Monday, and then they delayed that by a day. But he's been back on air the last couple of days and talking a little bit about what it's like to go away for nearly a month and have to sit there and not talk to anyone, especially when you get paid to talk all day long. But he'll be back on air this afternoon between 4 and 7. Dave Ramsey tonight, and, of course, overnight hours. Always like to mention George Noory and Coast to Coast, which, frankly, I think if you take that stuff seriously, you're a flake. But it's very entertaining to listen to Coast on the overnight. Hey, speaking of flakes, we haven't heard from that guy lately who always used to call and talk about Alex Jones, who, by the way, is a great entertainer, and I give him credit for building a heck of an empire on paranoia. But here we are 2 weeks now into what was called Jade Helm 15. And remember, Alex Jones was saying this was the end. This was when the government was going to seize the Southwest and put down Texas and all of the other rebellious areas of the country. How come that hadn't happened yet? And how come if the government intended to do that, the government came out and announced, hey, we're going to have this operation in all of these states? And they did. They marked a map that said hostile territory as part of their operation, but that was part of, the exercise. Why would they come and tell you that and diagram it? And then, by the way, Mr. Paranoia, nothing's happened. Not yet, anyway. Maybe tonight while we're sleeping. Have a great day.